everyone. Every consultant, freelancer, and vendor relationship runs on one document, and it's probably the most misunderstood contract in business, the service agreement. Get it wrong, and you are looking at unpaid invoices, leaked confidential data, or a dispute with no exit clause in sight. Today we are breaking down exactly how a service agreement works, clause by clause, the way a lawyer would draft one. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Sandhya, and if you are new here, this is where we turn dense legal concept into practical drafting ready knowledge. This video is part of our drafting internship series. So if you are a law student, a young associate, or just someone who signs a lot of contract, this one is for you. Here is what we are covering today: what a service agreement actually is, the essential that make it legally valid, the different types you will come across, the anatomy, every clause in order, the critical clauses, scope, payment, confidentiality, IP, liability, termination, governing law and dispute resolution, and finally a drafting checklist plus the mistakes to avoid. Let's get into it. At its core, a service agreement is a contract where one party, the service provider, agrees to perform a specific service for another party, the client, in exchange for payment. It's governed by the same general contract principles you will find in the Indian Contract Act 1872. Offer, acceptance, and consideration. Three things make it distinct. It's bilateral. Both sides have obligations, not just one. It's legally enforceable. It has to satisfy the essential of a valid contract under Section 10, and it's service specific, meaning it's different from a sales of goods contract or an employment contract. You are paying for effort and expertise, not a product, and not a permanent employment relationship. Before any service agreement is worth the paper it's printed on, it needs to tick six boxes: offer and acceptance, a clear proposal accepted without conditions, lawful consideration, usually the fee, capacity of parties, sound mind, legal age, not disqualified by law, free consent, no coercion, fraud, or misrepresentation, a lawful object, the purpose can't violate the law or public policy, and it must not fall under agreements the law expressly declares void. Not all service agreements look the same. The four you will see most often: consultancy agreement for professional or expert advice like legal or financial consulting, independent contractor agreements for self-employed individuals working outside a typical employer employee relationship, annual maintenance contracts, then retainer agreements where a client pays a fixed periodic fee for ongoing availability of services, which is extremely common in legal practice. Knowing which type you are drafting shapes everything downstream, from how you define scope to how you structure payment. Now the next thing is anatomy of a service agreement. So every well-drafted service agreement follows a predictable structure. Here is the order: is start to finish, title and date of execution, parties, definition and interpretation, scope of services, term and renewal, payment terms, confidentiality, indemnity and liability, termination, dispute resolution and governing law, and finally signature and annexes. Memorize this order. It's the skeleton every agreement hangs on. Let's zoom into the clauses that actually get litigated. Scope of service. Scope of services is the single most disputed clause when it's left vague. Deliverables and standard of performance need to be measurable, not aspirational. Term and payment go hand in hand. Align your payment milestone with actual deliverables. Fix the invoicing cycle and spell out what happens if payment is delayed. Confidentiality protects proprietary and client information. Define what counts as confidential, list the exceptions, and make sure the obligation survives termination, because a leak 6 months after the contract ends is still a leak. Intellectual property clarifies who owns the work, product, distinguishes background IP what existed before the engagement from foreground IP what's newly created, and decide early are you assigning ownership or just licensing it. Limitation of liability and indemnity cap financial exposure and allocate who compensates whom if something goes wrong. Without a liability cap, a service provider can be exposed to unlimited risk from a single mistake. Termination needs a clear grounds for convenience for cows or by simple efflux of time plus a defined notice period, and don't forget the effects of termination. Final payment, return of confidential material, and clauses survive which clauses survive after the contract ends. Confidentiality and intellectual property. So this you need to read it out for yourself. Now the next thing is governing law and jurisdiction. Two clauses decide what happens when things go wrong. Governing law fix which jurisdiction substantive law applies, critical in cross border or multi state engagements. Dispute resolution decide the forum, negotiation, mediation, arbitration under the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996 or the civil courts. If you choose arbitration, nail down four things: the seat and venue, the number of arbitrators, the language of proceedings, and how courts are allocated. Before you finalize any service agreement, run through this, correctly name and address both parties, write clear rectals stating background and intent, define every technical term, make the scope of service measurable, align payments with deliverables, include confidentiality, indemnity, and liability caps, spell out termination rights and notice periods, fix governing law and dispute regulation upfront, cross check clause numbering and define terms, confirm proper execution, signatures, stamping, witnesses were required, and avoid this classic mistake of vague scope of work, no termination clause, no liability cap, ignoring stamp duty and registration requirements, copy pasted boilerplate that doesn't match the actual engagement, and undefined confidentiality clause that's impossible to enforce. So here is the big picture. A service agreement needs a clearly defined scope, payment and duration, confidentiality, indemnity and liability clauses that allocate risk fairly, and a termination and dispute resolution mechanism that protects both sides. Remember, precision beats volume. A 10 clause agreement that's specific and enforceable beats a 50 clause template full of boilerplate every time. If this helped, drop a like, subscribe for the rest of the drafting internship series, and let me know in the comments which clause you want broken down next: confidentiality, IP, or arbitration. See you in the next one.